Hello everyone. I wanted to make a video about this for a while, talking about Scream Fortress restricted cosmetics and cosmetics that should be Scream Fortress restricted but are year-round. Why am I making this video? Well, to try to see if Valve would be willing to make much more, if not most, of the Scream Fortress restricted cosmetics, and that's where I'm telling everyone about why these can be accepted year-round in terms of how they look compared to the other ones. I'm specifically choosing ones that aren't too extreme and item sets that aren't too extreme as well in terms of what I think would look okay year-round or not. For the all class, most of them are comparable or less crazy than those already allowed year-round. I mean, there's an octopus head, magical mercenary, but there's already some things like the Balloona hoodie. But the thing that I want the most, and what made me want to make this video, is this one, called the Birdie Bonnet. I really want Birdie Bonnet to be year-round. It would be the perfect cosmetic for every single class. Can you just imagine Birdie Bonnets year-round everywhere? I think the world would be at peace, just seeing this lovely little chicken hat everywhere. Multi-class. These, except for maybe this, aren't too extreme compared to what is already year-round now. These are clear costumes because you can still see the scout through it. The main ones that aren't are the entire head difference, which is the xenomorph head. Otherwise, I'd say like all of these are viable. And then these Pyro ones, they're so much more mild compared to ones that are year-round. Imagine how handsome having this kind of slicked hair and a cool little vampire look for demo year-round. And the Cursed Captain hat. Obviously, Captain Calamari is a lot more extreme, I guess you could say. That's where I'd say it's iffy. Like, I could see it being year-round, but I can see it also being chosen not to. So that was Squid Slid, Captain Calamari. I included the Restless Head, because there's already skulls, scalping, cosmetics, split heads, open faces. That's why this is now viable. All of these look like they'd be fine. Now, the NGs are a little bit more iffy because of the animal heads looking very weird, but I think the Brundle Bundle, the other two, would be fun to pair with a bunch of other cosmetics. I'd say medics probably would give the strongest case to having them year-round. There actually was a cosmetic that just came out. Here's the Professor Photon, the one that is emulating the goggle stash. Except I like that they tried to change things up so that it's more unique. This is where I'm pretty sure cosmetic makers are taking things into their own hands and trying to make things year-round because of all of these restrictions that Valve probably will never change. That's why I think it's kind of nice that they're allowing these new things. I'm going to use that as an argument to why I think you might as well just let these guys be allowed year-round too. And then this one, in case you guys didn't know the story of the Hohnkopf, well, there's this disturbing experiment where the Russians decapitated a dog's head, and they kept it alive by pumping blood through it. The dog's head stayed alive longer. There's a little trivia for you. The Van Helsing one, there's nothing about it that looks like should be Halloween restricted. Now, the Mangaroo is another story. I think that's where the muzzle could be argued to be year-round, mostly because there's stuff like that already in the game and stuff for Pyro that looks very similar. Like, why is Pyro get to be the only, super furry? Why can't everyone else be allowed to be animals, It just doesn't make sense to me. Crocodile Mundi. There's already a crocodile head for a hat. There's crocodile skin stretched out on the back. So why not be allowed to have the scoper scales like animal pieces? I mean, that's kind of gross, but hey, why not? The Spies is another one where I think would be really great year-round. These look like they would not be Halloween restricted whatsoever, so it's just kind of dumb. Those were going through lots of the cosmetic sets that I think all could have a case to allow some cosmetics to be year-round. Here, I'd say there's some things I think that shouldn't be restricted, or they're close to ones that are year-round. So I'm not saying I think all of these should be allowed year-round as much as they compare to ones that already are. Why is Zipper Face not allowed, but the Deface Detonator for Demo Man, why is that one allowed? Hook, Line, and Thinker with the scalping for the Inji. It's so nasty. Why is that not allowed? Why can't a Rotten Roadkill of Lieutenant Bites? He actually doesn't look very different at all. And these other ones, they're just very clearly costumes. There's stuff like the Cardbeard cutout, the gnome hat, and why are those guys allowed? For Pyro, I actually included some Pyroland exclusive items because, well, Pyroland's been around for a long time, and I think that it would be nice to at least see some of these because that was the most outlandish thing at that time when they were coming out. Now these are like some of the most mild things that could come out that would be year-round. Voodoo Curse Pyro Soul. Well, there's already the Wandering Wraith, which is a skull, so why not allow this one with his exposed skull? I think that'd be cool. Lots of these have very close comparisons. Carrion Companion. There's like a little zombie bird, the Grim Tweeter. That gets to be for the Pyro on his shoulder. There's a Pyro robot head. So Demo Man gets to have a robot head, but Pyro doesn't? What's up with that? Things. What I think Valve should allow if they're gonna kind of like adhere to their new rules. Because clearly they don't care anymore what they're allowing in the game. Demo Man, I think all of these would be just fine being added. I mean, this one's kind of gross, but on blue team it's clearly just paint. These, oh my gosh, these ones for heavies, you would not even really tell from far away. And you could tell the ogre, the make ogre one, was made to try to get this cosmetic to be year-round. Mastermind, same thing, Hook, Line, and Thinker. I think that this is not very different at all. Vape Man is pretty awesome. You can still tell it's Engineer because he's got his gloves. The Garden Bristles, I don't understand why that's not year-round. That one's really good. I mean, they even have Colonel Sanders.
Yo, come back now. More where that came from.
And he looks weirder. The rest of these I think would be fun additions year-round because they're very clearly costumes and stuff. Although the Rotting Animals is kind of gross, but Team Fortress 2 that wouldn't be too far out of the craziness that the Mercs would do. Although the face peeler is pretty nasty. There's the Scarecrow that's already allowed, and that one looks pretty gross. Why is that one allowed year-round but not this? I'm gonna switch over to what is already allowed year-round and what I think could make a case to be holiday restricted. Switch over. These ones are what I consider permanent Scream Fortress / Smithmas adjacent cosmetics. I think it was 2020 when everything was just Christmas themed, and that is a little bit ridiculous. It does not look very good year-round, I'm sorry to say. Don't know why some of it isn't restricted. Here, I don't automatically assume they should be year-round, but I do want to show how there's comparable ones that are restricted versus ones that are already allowed. Basically, there's a lot more Halloween items allowed year-round than that are restricted. I don't understand the point of that anymore. Something that would still be good for Halloween specifically and full moons are item set effects. For example, the Highland Hound lets you howl. Let that only be during Halloween and full moon stuff. Or obviously the old Halloween spells that show up anytime the full moon is around. That's where, the cosmetics and stuff can stand out from the others still. Just gonna point out some specific things. I noticed there's some promotional items that have costume equivalents that are not allowed year-round some reason. There's some medieval and robotic things that are stuck, restricted. I also wanted to mention that I don't feel like the bonnet was what ruined the art style. I think Valve ruined it pretty early on when it comes to thinking of the style. There's a few things here and there. This, not really at all. Having a cleaver in your head, clear gore already being allowed, so that set the precedent for all the things being allowed. So why is Max's severed head allowed, but not the birdie bonnet? Why is the dark Falkirk helm allowed, but not the dark helm? Look how awesome it looks. It's still restricted. Cardbeard Cutthroat, this is what I was mentioning. There are so many cardboard related items that are restricted, and they're very clear costumes, what Valve was going for. So the War Blunder, the Grounded Flyboy, and then there's Hovering Hotshot, Aerobatics Demonstrator. It seems like they want to do one for every one of the classes. Clearly this Egyptian one, there's the one for Medic that works really well. It's almost exactly the same, just slightly different coloring. You can start to see how much crazier this looks compared to scrolling and seeing these guys. Just look at how much less there is here in the restricted ones versus unrestricted. Look at how much more bright and colorful things are here. Things like a severed hand on the head. This one, the ICU, why is that one allowed year-round? Not the monoculus, the binoculus. So why are there variations of the monoculus? So you get to have that as well as Halloween head bouncers. So you get to have versions of monoculus without actually having monoculus. You get to have a pumpkin on your head for different classes already. Why aren't you allowed to have the awesome headless horseman's head? I mean, that would be amazing to allow that. It's so detailed too. Little animal followers, what's wrong with those? The Snaggletooth Stetson, that the closest comparison would be to the Sexton Hill hat when you look between them. Well, you're allowed to have rotten bread monster feet, but not pickled paws for Demo Man. Look at all these costumes that you could call them Halloween costumes, but they're considered, permanent fixtures. Why is some allowed but others not? You're allowed to have blood and gore on the scout, but you're not allowed to have just plain wrappings on him. Pyro's the best example of the craziness of the art styles pushed. They pretty much have the most, obviously, because it's kind of just generic use for whatever. There's a Pyro cosmetic that are Halloween restricted, Bozo's Bouffant, but then there's nose candy. Why can't both of those go together? Going back to the animal heads being allowed for Pyro, but nobody else. Why is he allowed to have a spider head, but not a gargoyle head, huh? Because spider heads are real, right? Not on human-sized bodies. No, they're not. Sorry. Got the little shark head. The Pyro shark is just iconic. Why can't you just allow it more often at least? I forgot to add the Pyro head that just came out. Should not be allowed year-round at all, in my opinion. That's way too much talking about the changes for something that Valve will never do, but I really, really wish they would. Valve, if you're listening, could you also allow us to get spells again? That would be really cool. Here's the thing that I will argue, Valve, is if you enable most of these again, people will go out and buy more. The prices will shoot up because more people will want them because they're no longer just restricted to a certain time. And then spells will become even more valuable because you get to not only have the cosmetic more often, but they will still, show up during Halloween time. So it's a win-win, right? You'll make more money that way. Obviously, the restricted ones that people get during the Halloween time, you don't get to trade. You just kind of get stuck with whatever you earn through your contracts. That should be it for now. Let me know what you guys think. You can agree or disagree with what I have to say. And yeah, maybe they might actually make a change for stuff like this. They made a change to the contracts where you can choose them in any order now. And that was probably the best change they made for this year. That should be it, and thanks for watching. Goodbye there.